Hey, good evening. It's Tuesday, April 8th, and welcome back to Everyday Talk 24/7. Great to have you here. We're continuing to talk about worth. Last night we talked about how we can't let other people determine our worth. Well, tonight we talk about how we can't let performance determine our worth. Don't get me wrong, we have to work, we have to perform, we have things to do for God, but they ultimately can't provide our work. And my good friend Kirk, he said this question in response to the questions we've been having here about worth. He said, Jay, I have an interesting career, which is how I provide for my family. My worth as a provider for my family is directly determined by my performance as an actor. If I do not perform well, I don't get paid, and that makes me worthless as a provider for my family. How does this reconcile with what you are saying, that my worth comes only from God? Kirk, it's a great question. I'm sure probably many of you have the same question. And we do live in a performance-driven world. We get grades in school. We evaluate sports teams and events. How fast did you run? How many games did you win? We're evaluated at the workplace. We vote. Performance is a big part of our lives, but we can't allow it to determine our worth. I'm going to read a story, part of a story that Jesus tells about the workers in the vineyard. I'm sure you know the story. It's in Matthew 20, and it says the workers that were hired first are paid the same as the workers who were hired last. In other words, the first set of workers worked all day in the hot sun. The last set of workers worked only about an hour in the cool of the day. And they wound up getting the same pay. So these workers were quite concerned. So we'll pick up the story here in Matthew 20, verse 9. Let me find this in my Bible for you real quickly. Oops, here we go. Sorry for the delay. No more than I wanted. Okay, here we go. So the workers who were hired about the 11th hour came and each received a denarius, which is what everybody agreed to work for. So when those who came who were hired first, they expected to receive more. Why? Because they thought what they did was worth more, that they were worth more. But each one of them also received a denarius. When they received it, they began to grumble against the landowner. These men, who were hired last, were worked only an hour, they said, and you made them equal to us. See, you gave them the same worth as us, who have borne the burden of the work and the heat of the day. But the landowner answered them, Friend, I'm not being unfair to you. Didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Take your pay and go. I want to give the man who was hired last the same as I gave you. Don't I have the right to do with what I want with my own money? Or are you envious that I am generous? So the last will be first, and the first will be last. Which is all upside down with where we are. The first have to be first, and the last deserve to be last. But it hinges on this question, where they say, he asked them, are you envious because I'm generous? Now let's think about it for a minute. They did work longer. They did work harder. They did bring in more food and more crops. They did probably, maybe as much as 10 times the work as the others, because they were out there 10, 11 hours as opposed to 1 hour. So how do we reconcile what Jesus is saying? Let's ask some questions. Who provided the work for the laborers to do? They didn't. The landowner did. Who provided the command to work? That's God. If God did not command us to work, we wouldn't be working. We're that dependent. Who provided the strength and the breath for the laborers? God does. He gives us our next breath. The only reason I'm going to be able to finish this video tonight is because God gives me the strength to do it. Who provided the weather that day that allowed them to work? In other words, if it had been raining or storm, windstorm, dust storm, they couldn't have worked. And a slightly bigger picture, who provided the rain at the right time in the growing season so the crops would grow? Because if the rains didn't come at the right time, there wouldn't be any crops. Who did that? Who gave the laborers the skill and the ability to work? Is it not from God? Who provided the political climate so they could work? Things could have been in chaos. There could have been craziness all over, or it wasn't safe to go out and work. Who provided that stability? Who is the one who provided every good thing in their lives? As Paul argued with the folks in Lystra in Acts, where he said, God gives you everything. Your enjoyment, the food in your belly, and the rain to bring the crops. God did all these things. He's the one who provides the worth. And God even created the work for us to do. And the things that we are to bring honor to Him. They're worthy because we bring honor to His name. We're most satisfied in this life when we labor to glorify God, to give Him the same weight, the same honor, same gravitas that His name deserves. And we add to His reputation. That's the most worthy thing we can do. But it comes from God. We participate, but it comes from His hand. You see, we're to let the worth of our labor, to let our light shine before men. That's the work of our labors, so that people see our good works and praise our Father in heaven. That's where worth is. I'm not working for my worth to show it. I'm working to show the honor and glory of God. So you see, in answering Kirk and maybe some of your questions, your worth comes not from your performance, but from the gracious blessing of God, who makes all that possible. Again, I love your thoughts, your feedback on this. Kirk, I'd love for you to respond too if you have a question on this and follow up. But again, love your thoughts and feedback. This is so important. Don't let your performance be the measure of your worth. Give your worth, give your work to the glory of God, and the worth will come as byproducts of God's goodness. Again, thank you for being here. Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow. You have a great night. Bye-bye.